How's it going, YouTube? Navysooner here. Today, we're going over the Hebrew Striker.
Well, I'm spoken for, I got a ball and chain. I even gave her my last name. She's my anchor, she takes the wind out of my sails. Can't move my trailer cause she sold the wheel. She's my plus one, you can do the math. Top to bottom, there's no better half. And I love that pretty little country girl. She's rocking this redneck's world. She's the welcome mat to my home, sweet home. She takes me as I am and loves me like she wants to. Twist my heart up just like a corkscrew. It makes me smile as I make her scream. Just a couple of kids living the double wide dream.
This pistol here is the IWI Masada. It is a 9mm striker-fired pistol. It is the first striker-fired pistol that IWI has come out with, and the second pistol that they've done. The first one being the Jericho, which is a double single action CZ75 clone-ish gun. I mean, it's basically a CZ75. I said basically, so all you CZ cock gobblers out there can stop getting your panties in a bunch. Just calm down. It's basically a CZ75. The Jericho is, not this. Before we go any further, I would like to let you know about my Patreon and Subscribestar accounts. There is absolutely nothing over there. It's just a way for you to donate to my channel if you like my content and you'd like to see my channel keep going. It's getting really, really expensive to run channels like this, and it's just a way to donate to me if you like my content. Also, if you still want to donate to me but you don't want to do a monthly subscription style donation, then you can go to PayPal and use the email navysoonerchannel@gmail.com, and it will send money directly to me if you would like to donate. The barrel on the Masada is 4.1 inches and overall length is 7.4 inches. The barrel is cold hammer forged. That's a good thing. I do love cold hammer forged barrels. Its overall height is 5.6 inches. Now, the reason that I talk about the height and the overall length is because it is roughly the same size as the Glock 19X or the Glock 45. The Masada comes with two magazines that are 17 rounds each. I do not know if there are any base plate extensions. I'm sure there are some out there, but as of this time, I didn't look it up to see if there were. The magazines say made in Italy on them, so I'm guessing that they're made by Metgar, and they are metal, so that's a good thing. Also, 17 rounds is what you're going to find on most full-size, double-stack, striker-fire pistols these days. Compared to my CZ P10F, you can see from end to end, the P10F is definitely longer, and with the magazines and the P10F is definitely taller, but it also has a 2 more round capacity in it. The trigger safety is a bladed trigger safety, which I prefer over the hinged trigger safeties that like Smith & Wesson uses. The trigger is also made out of metal, which I like metal triggers. It's not my P10F, which is my go-to full-size pistol, does not have a metal trigger, but I would prefer that it did have a metal trigger. But this one having a metal trigger is nice. Now, there's some people out there that complain about the trigger getting too warm when they're doing a high volume of fire. I have done some mag dumps and some high volume of fire, and I haven't really had an issue with that. That doesn't mean that other people don't have that issue. Now, IWI says that the trigger pull is 6 pounds. Well, I'm here to tell you that I get a consistent pull at 4.5 pounds with this trigger, which is really nice. Take the magazine out, show you that there's nothing in there. The trigger has a little bit of creep once you get to the wall, which is about on par with any striker-fired factory trigger. So there's going to be some creep to it, and then it's got a really, really crisp brake to it. The brake is really nice. I really like the brake on this. This is a great trigger for pulling. The only issue that I have with the trigger on the Masada is the fact that you basically on the reset have to bring it all the way out, which if you're not used to it will slow you down if you're used to a shorter reset. Nothing Fancy talked about how most people don't shoot to reset. Well, I mean, I have learned in the last couple of months how to shoot to reset, so that's a crock of shit saying that no one shoots to reset, and I'm starting to get good at it. And so the reset on this being long is the only issue I have with the trigger pull on this. That being said, though, the reset is very tactile and it's very positive reset. You know when you've gotten there. There's no wondering if you did or you didn't, because it's got a click to it. You can hear it, you can feel it. It's very audible and it's very tactile. The slide has forward and rear cocking serrations for you want to be cool press check people. I mean, I catch myself every once in a while, not really press checking, but like getting the slide to go home by going forward. I don't do a press check. One thing I learned from Kawa when I took his course was if you are doing press checks, that means you're unsure of the status of your pistol. If you like to do press checks, good on you, because then you look cool, and I mean, there ain't nothing better than looking cool with your gun, right? There is a loaded chamber indicator. It is like most striker fired pistols that have the extractor right here. The extractor, it pushes out. Now that's not the loaded chamber indicator. Because the United States doesn't consider that a loaded chamber indicator, just being able to feel your extractor, or else Glock wouldn't have an issue with getting any of their stuff onto the California roster. Although I do say that the extractor pressing out does not count as a loaded chamber indicator. This one has a visible redness to the top of the extractor, and you can see it, and that constitutes a loaded chamber indicator. The sighting system on this is a 3-dot sighting system, not counting the obvious red dot mounting capabilities that it has. IWI also sells glowing night sights that you can change out on your pistol. The only qualms that I have with these sights is the fact that they're plastic. Plastic sights on a pistol, yes, while it cuts down on cost, which we will talk about later on in the video about the Masada, is the cost. While it does cut down in cost, it does tend to make the sights more prone to breaking. As well, there are no suppressor height night sights for the Masada out there, which if you're going to be running a red dot on your pistol, I do suggest you have backup sights that you can co-witness with. And to have suppressor height sights, that's the height you need to be able to co-witness with a red dot. There are some people out there that are like, well, red dots are so reliable and I don't need to worry about having a backup sight. When I pulled this out of the safe today, this Vortex Venom, the battery was dead. If I use this as an actual carry pistol and I needed it in a moment's notice, if I pull it out and I try and turn on the red dot, it didn't work. And I don't have any backup sights because they're not suppressor height. Now you could like shadow aim, I guess, if you wanted to, like guessing where the front post is or whatnot. But I mean, that's not ideal. So that's a big issue that I have for this. Like I've already mentioned, this is cut for having red dots. It comes with 4 different plates, which are for the Trijicon RMR, the Sig Sauer Romeo 1, the Leupold Delta Point Pro, and then the Vortex Venom, which I have on here. I got the Vortex Venom because I wanted to try it out. I'm not a big fan of the Delta Point Pro, and I just wanted to test out the Venom. Nothing against the Sig Sauer Romeo 1, I just wanted to test the Venom out. One thing to note for the plate for the Trijicon RMR is there are a lot of different red dot sights that have the same footprint as the Trijicon RMR. Well, A lot of people have the Holosun 507, 407, and I was going to put Holosun 407 onto this. Well, I went in and I read about it before I did, because the screws that it comes with for this, the screws that come with the Masada for the RMR, they go into the frame. And if you use the 507 or the 407, they will go too far into the frame, and then you will have cycling issues. As well, I'm pretty sure that if IWI finds out that you were using a 507 or a 407 without the correct screws, you might have voided warranties if it causes any issues. Now, if you go online, you can search and find out the screw lengths that you need and the exact screws that you need. There's a guy online in a forum that has given you the size screws that you need. So you just order those if you do want to use the Holosuns. Now, I have used red dots on pistols in the past. I had a Glock 17 that I had an aim surplus frame on, and I was using a Holosun optic. I went away from that because I really like the P10F. I still wanted to try out a pistol again that uses a red dot, because I really want to find a P10F that's cut to take red dots. So I went out and I got the Masada. I wanted to try out the Masada anyways, so that just gave me a good reason. Now, one thing to note, it's one of those things, if you don't use it, you lose it type things. Like, you need to practice with a red dot, and if you don't practice with a red dot, and you're going to find the developmental issues that you found when you were first shooting with red dots. My basics have gotten better since I've taken a course, and I'm in the process, and I'm going to be signing up for a new course as well. So when I came back to it, had a hard time finding the dot. This one is a 3 MOA dot. I suggest a little bit bigger, or the new ACSS Vulcan. That's enough talking about red dots. We're here to talk about this gun. Now, some people don't like pistols that use mounting plates to mount the red dots on there. I've seen issues with the Glock MOS plates warping, and then you lose your zero and you need to get a new plate. And there's a lot of people that scoff at the fact that these plates for the Masada are plastic. Well, the way that they snap into the frame, I don't think I'm going to have any issues with it being plastic, and I really don't think it's going to warp, but time will only tell when I get more rounds through this. Now, I'm bringing this review to you with less rounds than I normally do, because it is January 2020, right before inauguration, so there's a little bit of a shortage of ammunition. Yeah. And for those that want to say that fear-mongering about saying that a certain somebody is going to start coming after guns and taxing ammunition, and that's what's causing the ammunition to be hard to find. Well, yeah, because it's fucking true. So, sorry. Get over it. It's not a conspiracy theory. Go to his website. It talks about it. Go search his name and search gun control. He talks about it. So stop calling people that talk about it conspiracy theorists. And there's stuff that's come out lately about that, and trying to go after people that are making up conspiracies. No, get over it. A cool thing about the Masada, just like the P320 and a couple of other guns that have come out lately, is the trigger pack comes out of this handgun. It comes out of the frame. The trigger pack is what is serialized, and if anybody ever makes a new frame for that, then it could be dropped right in, or if IWI ever comes out with a new frame for the Masada, then it could be dropped right in. And that's pretty cool, especially for people in countries and states that can only have a certain amount of serialized firearms, or you can only have one pistol or you can only own one pistol. That way you can swap it in and out for different reasons. Say you want to have a full size, so you put it into a full size frame, or you want to have a concealed carry, so you put it into a concealed carry frame. That is one cool thing. That is one of the things that's cool about having the trigger packs now. The frame has 1913 Picatinny rail here for you to be able to mount lights and lasers. I have the TLR-1S on here, which is the TLR-1S that I put on all my other pistols that I'm doing reviews on, to be able to have a holster for them with my Blackhawk Omnivore holster. Fits perfectly. You can't see it here, but the front of the trigger guard is serrated for those people that like to grab onto the front of the trigger guard when they're holding their pistols. So that's a thing. The slide releases on this pistol are ambidextrous, and they are oversized. They kind of remind me of the Smith & Wesson Sigma series or the S&W or whatever. Yeah, I know, cheap ass gun, crappy trigger, but still the slide release being that size is pretty nice, and it being on this side as well is pretty nice for people that are left-handed like me. The slide release is ambidextrous. You can press it on this side, comes out. You can press it on this side, comes out. I like that you don't have to turn your magazine release around on the IWI. There's some other pistols that you don't have to do that with, which is the FN509, CZP-10C. My CZP-10F, I have it swapped around for ambidextrous. I have it swapped around so I can release it being left-handed. That was a pain in the ass switching that around, but it is switchable. But I like that this gun is not switchable. Now, people want to talk about the 509 and the P10C having stiff magazine releases. Now, the P10C, it does have a stiff magazine release. It's really, on the 509, it's really not a stiff magazine release. It's just user error. The grip on here comes with 3 different size grips: small, medium, large. The medium is what comes on it when you get it from the factory. I put small on there because, small hands, and you know what they say about small hands. No, it has nothing to do with gloves. It's the fact that they probably have a small dick. Yes, I know, yeah. The grip texture is adequate. It reminds me of a lot of other grip textures out there, like the Taurus grip texture, the Smith & Wesson grip texture. It's adequate. It's not over grippy, it's not under grippy, but it's not to my liking. I haven't had any issues with the grip not being grippy enough. It's just a small little bitty detail for me that I don't like. But I really haven't had any issues, and the texture is adequate. The trigger guard here does have a nice undercut, which is much better than Glock's, and that way you don't really get the Glock knuckle or whatnot, and you can get a higher purchase. Now, speaking of a higher purchase, the beaver tail looks like it's pretty high here, but in my hands, I get a higher purchase on a Glock than I do with this. Now, I get a really high purchase on my CZs, and you can't really compare these to these when it comes to how high you can get a grip on there. But at least you can get a higher grip than a SIG, and being able to have a higher grip reduces muzzle climb, and you'll be able to keep your sights on target better. Well, how does the Masada shoot? It's not the smoothest gun in the world. It's not the jumpiest gun in the world. It's a good gun, though. It shoots just fine. I have not had, with a small amount of rounds that I have put through it, which is about 625-ish, I think. My counting was a little off, but it's around 625 rounds, and I had no issues with feeding whatsoever, no extraction issues. This ran all rounds just fine, and I was mostly running 124 NATO rounds through it, and like I said, it ran just fine. It's not as smooth as, say, my P10, but it's about on par with a Glock, I guess you could say. It's not like the best thing out there, but it's not the worst thing out there. Would I tell someone not to buy this? Absolutely not. If they came to me and said, hey, I want to buy the IWI Masada, what do you think? I wouldn't try and convince them to get something else. It's a great hose for red dots for someone that wants to learn how to shoot with a red dot. And for the price, guns like this and guns like this that are low priced firearms but are good firearms, that's a good thing for the American people or for people around the world, because having a lower priced option that it works, that's awesome. I believe that the Philippine National Police Agency uses the IWI. If I'm wrong, say something below. You don't have to be a dick though, so don't be a dick. If you are, I usually will either A, delete you, B, call you out over on Instagram, or C, block you. So just don't be a dick. I have no problem taking criticisms whatsoever. None. Just don't be an asshole. Well, in the words of Forrest Gump, that's all I have to say about that. Navysooner out.